We are now live, John. That is wonderful. All right, everyone. Welcome back to Gen Con 2025. You are at the Lynn Vander Six Sides of Gaming Catalyst streaming booth for Gen Con TV, and we are happy to be here with you. Now, for what everyone was waiting for, the fiction panel. We are here with a wonderful conglomeration of authors and an editor. Actually, a great editor. And John Helfers. Yay for the editors. See, we do get some. We love the live stuff.
Our one fan.
You do realize they will be editing you.
They try desperately.
Try desperately is exactly the words I use every day.
When I turn the work, yes.
The work in. Okay, yeah.
Guidelines, suggestions. If I put in enough spelling errors, they can't parse what I'm trying to say, so they'll just publish it. But let's go through this wonderful group right here. First, author, incredible human being. I was going to do author emeritus, but you're still doing everything, which is a wonderful thing. Michael
right.
Stackpole, thank you for being with us. The hero, the one person they really want to see on everything. John Helfers, executive editor of catalystgamelabs.
Yeah, too much of editor, not enough of the executive part for my liking, to be honest.
That is always very fair. Phil Lee, is it editor of Shrapnel, or what is your official
Managing
title?
editor.
Managing editor. I knew it
And
was
sometimes author.
And sometimes author?
Author, yeah.
Oh, absolutely author. The Free World League thanks you.
Yep,
No, I think you've got time.
You don't even write for me.
If everyone who wrote for you booed, we would not have time to get through
They would
this.
bring the roof down.
Ryan
Yes.
and I would never boo John.
Into his face. I know, yes.
They've got far more interesting and cutting words, and we appreciate it. And last but not least, Bryan Young, esteemed author. For everyone who has forgotten, my name is Michael Ciaravella. I am events manager for catalystgamelabs. Had to think about that for a moment, and also occasional author.
An author, yes.
And
Esteemed?
occasional.
You
I
got a
didn't
ways to
say
go.
esteemed. He is esteemed.
Okay. I just want to make sure you know your place.
I read Voidbreaker. I was very, very happy. That was beautiful.
It's true.
So,
John wonders why all the authors have imposter syndrome.
yeah.
It's all of the cutting us down at the knees.
Authors' egos run rampant if I don't keep them in check. It's very clear.
We certainly could use the help. We appreciate it. So, John, what would you like us to talk about today? This is your fiction panel. I just get to fun moderate.
We all get to talk about how great BattleTech fiction is.
Indeed.
So there we go. I'll kick it off like right there. So, but actually, I think a very good question to all of you, since all of you are written and published. Even myself have written and published BattleTech fiction. BattleTech is 40 years old.
41.
Yes.
41 now.
41 years old. One of the oldest IPs in existence, which is awesome. What keeps bringing you back to... all right, two-part question. One, why did you want to start writing BattleTech fiction? And two, what keeps bringing you back to BattleTech fiction? Anyone at the table can answer.
Oh, no. We need to start at the beginning. Literally. The one person who was there.
Wow.
So, Mike, when you turned in your first
It was
book
there
on
when the
stone
deep
tablets...
magic was
Yes.
written.
When the deep magic was written.
Yeah. Well, cuneiform is a very...
I'm still trying to translate that one.
Yeah, no, when I first did books, it was the mid to late 80s, and novels going along with games were a relatively new thing. I mean, Dragonlance had shown that it would work, and so everybody was trying to catch lightning in that bottle. And I had done a novel. The guys at FASA asked to see samples of it just to prove I could write, because they were, as every other game company were being inundated by game designers who thought they could write. Just laugh, because
That's a common theme.
It is a common theme, yeah. And so,
Hasn't changed much.
No, it hasn't changed at all.
Things have not changed.
And so I sent them a sample. They sent me some BattleTech stuff. They were thinking I would write other things for them. And I got a call, and they said, hey, we liked your sample. I'd like to see more. And I said, thanks. I like the BattleTech stuff you sent me. And if you ever need anybody to write BattleTech stuff, I've got a couple of ideas. And without missing a beat, Ross Babcock said, that's what we want to talk to you about. We want to give you a trilogy, 100,000 words each. You've got 9 months. Can you do it? The answer was, of course. But the reason was, I mean, back then, these would have been the first novels that I had that were under contract, still shopping around the first novel I had done. And so for me, it was that desire to do that. The setting was exciting enough. It was military science fiction. It was politics. It was my degrees in history. So it was everything that, I could have been writing I could have a doctorate, in 14th century Saxon politics, but instead, I just did BattleTech stuff.
That's amazing. Bryan, what about you?
The thing that got me into writing BattleTech was getting to know the universe and really being interested in it. Other than approaching John Helfers first and saying, I'd really like to write in Shadowrun, and then he said, "We're full up. How about BattleTech?" But no, I mean, BattleTech is something that I'd been exposed to since I was a kid. My first intro into playing BattleTech was on the Super Nintendo when I was like 12. And, Mike had already written probably a dozen novels by then.
Close.
Yeah, no, it was probably pretty close. That was like 93.
Yeah.
So it was something that was familiar enough to me. And I just started reading it and really enjoying it. And it was, writing in a universe like BattleTech is just enormously challenging in a way that I really love creatively, because it's very collaborative. It's very unique to be able to be given the puzzles of how the universe works, what the goals of the universe and the developers are, and how to tell a good story in that. And I just really love doing that. And that was something that really attracted me about doing the work in the first place. That's something that attracts me about continuing to do the work. Finding a way to tell stories that I find interesting and compelling to me as a person, but also compelling enough that John continues to allow me to do it, or wants me to continue doing it and saying, like, I'd like you to do this.
It's an exciting thing to be able to play in the sandbox.
Yeah.
Now, Phil, that's the same interesting question to you, but you also have the unique perspective of, as also being managing editor of Shrapnel, you are not only writing and creating these stories from where you came from. This also brought you to a place where you are nurturing new authors. You are on the cutting edge of bringing in new people to the BattleTech universe. How did you get your start, and what have you been doing to continue to bring in the newbies?
Well, I first started doing BattleTech fiction just because I'd been writing novels for like original stories and stuff for many, many years. Ever since I think I started in like 8th grade. Like I want to be a published author. I want to write novels, And it got to a point where I was like, well, I guess I could try writing BattleTech fiction. I never tried it before, so I wrote a short story. I sent it into Battlecore at the time, and Jason published it. Jason Smetzer, who was the managing editor of Battlecore at the time, and so I was like, oh, cool. So I wrote another one, and I sent that one in. He bought that one too. I was like, oh, okay. I guess maybe I can keep doing this. So I kept on doing it, and I think it was within about 18 months of like the very first story that I sent. Jason was like, hey, so would you have any interest in like helping me out on the editorial side of Battlecore? Because he'd recognized the fact that like the stories, like the type of stories that I wrote, that I have like a really good handle on, like good storytelling, good characterization, like what makes a good story. So he started having me like go through the slush pile and like reading all the submissions that would come in, kind of earmarking things or whatever. So that's kind of where I got my foot in the door in terms of editorial on the fiction side of things. Whereas I'd also been working editorial on like the game side of things too, with like some of the source books and doing editing for Herb and Ben, who are working on the line development team at the time. So that's kind of sort of how I got my foot in both worlds, like as a writer and as an editor, both for fiction and for the game side of things. So.
My story is nearly identical right there, with just a few key points being different. I also just started at the beginning and submitted a story to BattleCore and was rejected, and then sent another story and was rejected. And then I started buying John Helfers dinners, and suddenly I had a duology.
I don't know what you're thinking. I wasn't even working for BattleCore at the time.
No. Schmetzer was the one who...
Yes, I'm aware.
I can say that because we had dinner last night.
Put the blame where it belongs, exactly.
No, but being able to play in the sandbox. I've said many, many times that I started with the Warrior trilogy, which still one of my favorite rereads of all time, just to dive in, because you got that lovely combination of politics and big stompy robots and being able to do all these wonderful things, being able to create incredible characters that 41 years later still hold up. We've sold many, many copies of that book today, and it is still just as poignant, of the trilogies, just as poignant, still as enjoyable as it was then. And as I like to poke John Helfers on a regular basis, that was at a time when novels were 100,000 words. Do you remember that happy time?
Or longer.
Or longer, yeah.
I know the word counts on those. They're more than 100,000.
Very true. But John, how did you come to the universe?
Well, it all started when I met Lauren Coleman. I won't say it was the biggest mistake. No.
In the before.
Actually, I have to give a shout out to Jean Raby, because she was the one who first said, "Hey, you should go talk to this guy at, I think it was Origins, because I think he might have some work for you." And I was working in book publishing, book packaging as well, but I always hungry and always looking for odd jobs and stuff. And so I met Lauren. This was when BattleCore existed. And he's like, "Well, we could do some proofing work. Just try that." And I was already an established editor on the other side. So my proofreads actually look more like line edits with like, this sentence is bad. And it's like, okay, this guy knows what he's doing. And then out of the blue, Lauren called me up a couple of years later and said, "Hey, we want to do Shadowrun fiction. What would it cost for you to edit an anthology?" Which turned into Spells in Chrome, my one professional award-winning anthology. And that turned into novels. And then eventually we got the Legends back after... some heated negotiations from several people, and now we were doing 8 books a year across both lines. We're doing Leviathans, looking at doing other things too. So yeah, that one chance, like, hey, you should go talk to this person. So networking absolutely counts.
Yes, indeed. It's very important.
Through that, I've met all you wonderful people. So there you go.
Well, actually, you and I had known each other before.
That is true. Because you have done stuff for me. You would actually written for Dawn anthologies and things like that as well. So that's true. Mike, of course, again, old as dirt. But the fecund dirt from which new life flows.
Well, there you go, yeah.
Charming and inspiring as always. Thank you, John.
I do what I can.
So, you've got these wonderful authors surrounding you right here. What is new? What is coming up in the BattleTech universe right there? Before we delve too deeply into their other thoughts on things, what's coming up? What can we be excited about? And what do we have right now?
I'm very excited about, well, actually... What is today, the 31st or the 1st?
The first.
Today's the first.
All right, so first of all, Michael Stackpole's third novella in the Crown Ascendancy is live today.
Very
and
good.
what are we, Unlimited Catastrophe? Catastrophe Unlimited?
Catastrophe Unlimited.
The third one?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great read with Walter de Mesno running around trying to save the heir to a planet, the Maldives, I think it's called.
Yep.
It's been a fun read. That was the ones you did for HBS's game.
Yeah.
And they came available, and of course I leaped at the chance to actually publish them, and they're going to be in ebook first, and then they're all going to be collected into an omnibus similar to Calhoun's Ascendant, so I'm very excited to have that come live. It's been getting a very good reaction from the fans. Let's see, and then we have also, I have to give a shout out to Schmetzer because his BattleCore novel, The Longest Day, just dropped last Friday, so that's fresh and new in print for the first time and ebook as well. And that is we went a little bit back to the Clan Invasion, but it's early days, and it's a ripping story. It's a fantastic. I guess it was built off of a one-line mention in one of the Clan Invasion source books, and he just took it and ran with it. It's an amazing piece. So you should go read that as well. Upcoming, we've got Jason Hansa this fall with The Long Road, which I'm not going to spoil it, but for those people who know, kind of takes the story of one of the most, I think, well-known characters in the Dark Age and gives them what could be maybe a coda. It might continue, who knows, but it picks them up after a long pause, and we see what happens to them. But I don't want to give any more away. It's still in progress. And then, let's see, at the end of the year, we got, I don't know if I want to spoil this, but I think I'm going to. So in November, well, we're also I'll let you talk about the Gothic Shrapnel issue. But we're also going to do Fox Patrol's very first full-length novel called Out Fox. We're dropping that in November as a special right before the holiday season. And then we're doing, I'm blanking on the title. It's Daniel Isberner's, one of our overseas authors. Has a German, we're publishing him in English. Silent Reapers, that's it. But
Yes.
that's his mercenary unit. I can't remember, what's the name of the book?
Silent Assets?
Is that it? Maybe it's the other way around. Anyways, we're publishing this book, and I'm sorry, Dan, I can't remember the title at this exact moment. But that's going to be, I think, our December book.
Editor.
Yeah, well, it doesn't require memory. I've got spreadsheets for that. So there's a lot going on. We also have more Shrapnel. I'll let Phil talk about that. And let's see, that's the bulk for this year. Next year is a really big deal for us because we're actually moving to 6 novels per year, not just 4. Very briefly, there's the big Wars of Reaving trilogy that Phil and Craig Reed and Jason Hansa are hopefully wrapping up the manuscripts soon.
Not hopefully. It is happening.
But then, of course, we've also got more we're going to do Ghosts of Tim Cavici by Bryan, which takes the Ghost Dogs into the Hinterlands. I'm very looking forward to reading that one. It's in edit right now, so that's going to be very exciting. And some guy over here is supposed to be giving me a Snow Ravens novel at some point, too, that we got to publish. So, when he finishes it.
In my copious amount of free time, as always.
That's what 3 in the morning is for, sir.
Guidelines.
Anyways, we have and we'd be remiss if I didn't mention that Bryan has written a 4-part Ghost Bears novella series that kind of continues after the aftermath of the Civil War. So that's going to come out later this year, early next year. I've got to slot that. So there's a lot more BattleTech fiction coming.
Or both.
Or both. Well, I mean, it's 4 novellas, so it could come out both later this year and early next.
Well, that probably is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
No one wants to know about the graphic novel. The graphic novel is proceeding apace. The script is pretty much complete. We've been having great meetings here at Gen Con, which is what you do when you go to a convention like this. And we were talking to our artist, Eldon Cowger, who's also very excited to hear it's going after being surprised by it a couple weeks ago. And we can't wait to start the next stages of it, which is actually the art and everything. But the script is terrific. We've got some great guest authors as well as Bryan and Mike, and it's going to be phenomenal. So
that is
there you go.
Sounds good. Indeed. So, what other questions do you have for your fine authors? You've got some people.
Aren't you the moderator?
But this is your thought process right here. I am the moderator. I keep you on track. I can give them questions all day. I've got personalized questions ready for each and every one of them.
This is why he hasn't
And
finished.
suddenly he's drinking water.
This is why he hasn't finished the book yet. He's
Yes.
making up his first line.
I'm coming up with questions. That's what's so very important right there.
All right.
No, I'll do them. I did say I had cultivated, personalized questions. I'm going to go with Phil first because we very much appreciate Phil. Phil, you have been the main proponent for the Free Worlds League.
Okay.
You have been writing some magnificent works right there, an area where it hasn't been traditionally delved into on a deeper side, especially not in novel form. What's been keeping you going? What has inspired you? What can you tell us a little bit about what's coming? Not giving anything away, but your excitement and joy.
Well, I don't know. I kind of sort of fell into writing the Free Worlds League. It kind of sort of started with, I can't remember which source book it was, but everyone was pitching for specific factions, like, oh, I want to write this faction's section. Oh, I want to write this faction's section, or whatever. And no one else pitched for the Free Worlds League, so I got it by default. And so I just, like, from that point, like, fell in love with them even more than I had before. And so when it came time to start moving the universe forward, when we were developing the book that became Shatter Fortress, for example, I was writing the Free Worlds League sections, and I kept realizing, oh, there's like this would make like a really good novella, I thought at the time. And then as I was writing it, as I say, the tale grew in the telling. And I go to John and say, I don't think I can fit this in a novella. What do you think about turning it into a full novel? And so I did that, and that eventually became Hunting Season. And then, so the more stuff I wrote about the Free Worlds League, whether it be in the source books or in the fiction, the more ideas start percolating, and everything sort of starts falling into place. And so that ended up becoming the novel Letter of the Law, which came out last October, I think it was. And I've got more stuff percolating. Written some Free Worlds League short stories and stuff too. So it's just I just like playing the Free Worlds League because they're sort of like the dysfunctional family of BattleTech.
Yeah, there's only one of those.
And another thing I like about it is I sort of see the Free Worlds League as kind of like the Inner Sphere in miniature, where it's like if you look at the Inner Sphere, you have all these different, in terms of like the Star League, you had like all the member states, where you had like the Terran hegemony was like the big dog, and then you had all the other ones with, House Lau and House Davians, all the other ones that usually don't really play very well with each other. But then with the Free Worlds League, you have all these smaller provinces, and they, by and large, don't necessarily like each other. And sometimes they'll actively go to war with each other, but then they'll also, when a crisis comes, they'll band together, because if they don't, if one of them falls, they all fall, So it's just a really fun playground to play in with that kind of dynamic, not just with all the other nations, but within the nation itself.
It's really exciting. Thank you, Phil. Which leads me to my question for Bryan. As one of the most prolific of the younger authors right here, there's a whole new realm of the man who writes everything. Well, I've got a good question for you too, but you've got a few different lines that in BattleTech that you've been doing. You've got Fox Patrol, your unit, which has been very, very exciting and really has caught the imagination for many. You're also doing quite a bit of work on the clan front. Right there.
Yeah.
And then just everything else you're doing, working on the graphic novel. You've got so much there. What's been really inspiring you? What's been catching your attention, and what can you share with the fans?
Part of it is I just really like exploring a lot of different corners of things, and sometimes some of those things are accidental. Like the Fox Patrol, I didn't know that was going to be a series that has continued like it has. It was, here's a few stories, and I think these characters are fun, and it was really more for me than anybody else. And the fact that they kind of hit the way they did was as surprising to me as everybody else. But working on the Jade Falcons and the real Jade Falcons, the ones left on Sudetan.
The real Jade Falcons? We'll have that fight later. That's fair.
Capital R, real.
There's it's like the Ghostbusters versus the real Ghostbusters, that sort of thing.
One had a monkey, for crying out loud.
I enjoyed the Ghostbusters series, to be fair. I enjoyed both of them. Wow, deep cut, folks, deep cut.
But exploring a clan fighting for its survival and adapting has been really, really rewarding, in that I don't think there had been a lot of fiction exploring how the clans have changed over 100 years of being in the Inner Sphere. And when you look at the way the clans arrived, they all acted very much the same because their culture was very homogenous, right? They were very much, we're wearing uniforms with different patches and colors on them, and that's not a bad thing. That's what they were. Like, that's what they were. We're a warrior culture, and we are all very unified, and we have different flavors, but the flavors weren't all that different. And now, getting to explore Sea Fox versus Jade Falcon versus Ghost Bear, which are the three I've written the most of, they're all very different. And that's the thing that excites me the most, is seeing how each of them have kind of found their place in the Inner Sphere after 100 years, and how the Inner Sphere has changed them, and how the Inner Sphere has taken what made the minute differences in those flavors 100 years ago and set them off wildly different paths. And it's really interesting sci-fi writing, right? Sometimes we forget. Sometimes BattleTech can feel like, oh, it's very contemporary, but with battle mechs, because that's some of the sci-fi element. But some of the sci-fi that I like the most is even just how did the clans change over 100 years, that kind of stuff. And that stuff is really exciting to me. And getting to, look at that at a deeper level, like John mentioned, the Ghost Bear Civil War novellas, getting to look at it from that perspective about what does it look like when a clan completely combines with an Inner Sphere culture and problems happen, or they have disagreements. What does that look like? That stuff's really exciting and really fascinating to me, and I have fun writing it. And that's the thing that I hope folks who read my stuff feel the fun I'm having when I'm writing it. And that's what I hope. That's just what I hope people take away from it, that they feel as much fun reading it as I have writing it.
Excellent. That is wonderful. I promised you a good one right here. So yours is
I'm braced.
You're braced. Yours is going to be a slightly different flavor, because a lot of people don't know the BattleTech universe as much, and we know you've played in a lot of different universes, which is a wonderful thing. Specifically, because this is a BattleTech panel, how has this journey worked for you? Once again, you have been there since the Deep Magic was written. A lot of the characters that some of us have been very honored to grow up with, who some of us have had the great honor of continuing to write, and some of these factions and units and everything else, you've let us play in the sandbox with you, and it's been wonderful. What has that journey been like, and how is that? Now, and looking back right now, what keeps you coming back to some of these wonderful lines, and what continues to inspire you to write the brilliance that you do?
Well, one of the things that I was really, really lucky in, when I wrote the Warrior Trilogy, BattleTech was in the attitude of the universe was very entropic. Everything was still breaking down, and we realized that was not viable if you were going to have a long-running product. Mm-hmm. So in the Warrior books, you begin to have some discovery of new technology, some new factories come online, that sort of stuff. But that led to the 20-year update, and for the 20-year update, we had the first of many summit meetings, where every 3 years we would have a meeting and do a 5-year plan. So not only am I writing tie-in fiction in that world, but I've been lucky enough to be part of the team which figures out where the story is going to go. So what keeps me coming back is this literally is a universe that I have helped build. So it's got a lot of my DNA in there, a lot of my soul in there. So being able to come back, play with these characters, see where they've gone, be able to continue them, be able to continue their legacy, and as John has seen with the HBS novellas, that kicked the history of some of the units and characters I had back another 30 years. And with the Death Kangaroos and other stuff, I get to kick all of that, even further into the future. So it's giving me a lot of landscape to play on, and that gives me enough room to actually explore these characters. As Bryan was saying, it's fun to watch the clans change with their impact with the Inner Sphere. And for me, it's a lot of fun to watch how these characters have to grow and change as we put pressure on them and that stuff. Can they react? I mean, one of the things that when you're writing good novels is everything you do as an author is attempt to break a character, make them break down, and make them fail to take another step forward. Well, here we get this vast universe, this huge sandbox, and there were so many characters to put under that pressure. And some of them are going to win through, and others of them are going to implode in the most delicious ways. And so being able to torture the characters and torture the readers at the same time is really what keeps me coming back. So it's a hobby. Yeah.
And that is a beautiful thought. Thank you. Speaking of breakdowns and absolutely torturing people, John Helfers.
I mean, it's what I do.
Absolutely. And once again, exactly as Mike was talking about right here, you help to craft the direction things have gone in right there, because BattleTech especially has had a fascinating history with the written word right there. It went from 3 books to 3 more books to individualized books to a little bit of a hiatus at the entry into the Dark Age, which was once again Mike bringing us back to the novel writing era for BattleTech right there, and then everything that's come through it since. You've been at the helm of that, and what's that been like, and how does that process go?
So apart from the Dark Age era, when there was the time in the teens when BattleTech was kind of bumbling and stumping along because we hadn't done the Kickstarter and hadn't really reinvigorated it, fiction was probably in its darkest days I could ever think of. There was people basically were writing novels on spec, from what I understood. And then one day I got a call from the late Steve Mohan, who unfortunately is no longer with us. And apparently he'd been talking to Lauren and said, I want to start moving things forward. So take us out of the Dark Age into when we hadn't had the meeting that would become the Old era at all.
Right.
And so I'm like, well, I knew Steve's work, and he was a terrific writer. He will be missed. And I'm like, well, sure, let's talk about what you had in mind. And by God, that was Bonfire of Worlds. And it was a very ambitious novel. It did most of what we wanted, not entirely everything, but he also had a lot of ground to cover. And with that as a base, I felt, okay, now we have a way forward. We can actually start moving towards, and again, we didn't know what was going to be next. But I'm like, well, we can start telling original stories, and the reaction from the fans was good enough that, hey, we're viable. And then the great thing was that we got Legends back, which gave me the financial base for the backlist, which of course includes Mike's work, includes Charette, it includes other novels by other people, Bill's
Keith,
and Bill Keith too as well. That was great to put that back into Flint, but it helped me give the foundation to start moving forward on a regular basis, to actually have a schedule I could work with. So it's been very challenging and humbling at the same time to speak completely seriously for a moment, to work with authors like Mike and bring up and comers like Phil and Brian and you. It's been great overall, even when people don't hit their deadlines. But other than that,
why were you looking at me when you said that?
If I cut to him,
They can't even make a deadline.
if I cut
for
to
you.
him,
You're
it'll be
just blasting out
way
things.
too obvious. So, but overall, it has been a great time. And I mean, if someone had told me in high school, hey, this game you're playing on the weekends with your friends, and someday you're going to be actually shaping the fiction and helping shape our line development, our great team on the source books, shape the world as it goes forward, I would have told them they were nuts, because that was never even a thought of a possibility, yet here I am. So, but to bring it back around to you, Mr. Ciaravella, you have tackled some of the bigger events in the past couple of years. First of all, you helped kind of bring the Draconis Combine Davian War to at least a pause, let's say, with
To a middle.
The middle, yes, exactly. The taking of New, I want to say Certus, that's not right. It's New Avalon in Damocles Sanction. And then you got tapped to take us back to Terra, which we had kind of left in the dark after Hour of the Wolf with Trial of Birthright. So we've given you some pretty hefty pitches, and to be fair, you've connected really well with them. And it seems that you're very, very good at mixing both the action and the political diplomatic side. Which of those do you like better, or it can be both, and why do you keep writing these books?
Well, I love playing in the sandbox myself, which has always been one of those personal areas. I think the same thing that you do. I got to play this game. I got to pick up this book. I picked up the Warrior Trilogy before I knew anything about BattleTech. I didn't know about the Stompy Robots. I heard really good political theater in the future and science fiction. I want this. The space opera at the time of space opera. And I've loved that. It's always been one of my passions. And I do enjoy the politics. I do enjoy that. We've got some authors like Bryan, who is just amazing at creating incredible characters right there, but also I want to be very much in the realm of to show the whole scheme. I want to show what's going on at a lot of different places from a lot of different perspectives, and that's been an area of my passion. It's been truly humbling to be able to take some of these characters who may have been laid fallow for a bit, or just areas. I had the joy of Trial of Birthright right there, picking up 15 minutes after another author and then moving forward after 12 in-world years right there and continuing forth.
I mean, we gave you an easy assignment. Show us the coronation of the first Ilkhan. No pressure. It's all good. You're fine. You're fine.
One of the things that is kind of interesting from where it was in the beginning and where it has matured to now, and Shrapnel is certainly a part of this as well. The universe has grown and the writers have grown in maturity and the audience in what they want, so that we can do not only the grand political stories, but we can do, like Fox Patrol stories. We can do stories that Phil has got, which are one-offs with characters or small groups building up. And we can do, like the Death Kangaroos, which are, the Death Kangaroos are the anti-Kellhounds. And when we were starting out, there wasn't a place for that unit that could be fun but taken seriously. The only thing we had was Wacko's Rangers. And that was just the traveling clown show.
The traveling clown show. Thank you, fans at home. Send your emails and angry letters to John Helfers at.
But it is, to me, it's fascinating watching the writers who come up with the universe now looking to explore more than we just did. And I know I personally, therefore, feel pressure to push it even further, because I can't have these young whippersnappers showing me up.
Well, let me springboard off.
Oh, no. Before you pick on that, we need to pick on him a little bit. Don't blame this all on us. You have helped to inspire generations of authors, right? Not just through your BattleTech work right there. The Rogue Squadron books still have a place of honor, no covers anymore, but a place of honor on my shelf. And you are to blame for all of this. Don't start on that one. I'm sorry, John, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I'm not letting him get away with that one on live TV.
That other little IP Star Wars. I heard he did a couple books.
You were playing
yeah. But one of the things, and it's not like I do not wish to cast any aspersions on what came before. The Legends books are terrific. As I'm rereading them to proof, to put them out into new POD and ebook editions, I'm really gobsmacked by just the breadth of them and what they did. But I do think, and this is maybe a fallback to Fausa, that it was a little, just a smidge, it's a little one-dimensional in some areas, and humor was one of them. And what I wanted to say is I think humor is endemic to the human condition. No matter how bad things get, whether it's a black humor joke or a lighthearted one, you can always find humor somewhere. And so I wanted to bring that more into the IP. And Phil's done a very good job. There have been some terrific comedic stories. The Ace Darwins by James Bixby have been amazing. Death Kangaroos with that wry, but the humor's more at the forefront. The Kellhounds are fairly serious. They have their moments, don't get me wrong. But Death Kangaroos, I think I've really unleashed something in you that's been a delight to see. And Bryan also does very well. The Fox Patrol are so earnest and engaging and yet funny at the same time. With their foibles, it's like their little squabbling family too. So that's always been what I wanted to bring that condition into, and I like to think I've succeeded with the writers I've chosen, and the stories you guys tell. You pitch that you can bring this, it's not going to get cut out because it's just military science fiction. No, it's the human condition.
But it is the human condition, and before it was very much military science fiction, and now it's just becoming science fiction.
Agreed.
It's got the military
I would
background.
say so. Yes.
And again, that's why we can go down and we can have those stories that are focusing on not any grand political stuff, and just how people are dealing with things, or and again, satire and all that fun stuff. At least which I'm enjoying. You're right.
And not just novels. We've got a very successful cookbook. The BattleTech romance novel, Hungry Like the Wolf, still selling very, very strong. Very exciting right there. The updated Art of War, Sun Tzu's Art of War.
Yep, annotated by Jamie Wolf. Yes, absolutely.
Brilliant books that are selling very, very well. And the fan base has inspired them. That is all. It's been a really, really exciting aspect.
Yeah, and that's why we're really excited about the graphic novel, because yes, there have been comic books before. I've read some of them. They're very interesting. The graphic novel, the team we have assembled to do this one, and I'm sorry everyone who came before, but do it the right way. I am just so excited to bring BattleTech back into the graphic story tradition. I think it deserves it. I think it's built for it. Yeah. And I think it's going to be terrific. So, yeah, and the fans, part of it was the clamor from them that wanted to do it. So we finally said, look, let's take the shot. And I think it's going to pay off in a big way and lead to a lot of bigger and better things in the graphic tradition. And I for one, can't wait.
It's so hard not to talk about it.
You can send the outline to me at any time. No. But, okay, John, so we got about 10 minutes left for our broadcast right now.
Flown by.
It has flown by. It is a wonderful thing.
Bingo.
Please add that to your Gen Con bingo card. Michael Ciaravella said it's a wonderful thing. We all expected it.
We need a swear jar just every time you say that.
Like when certain people say thank you, that's not really what they're saying. But John, start us off right now. What do you want? We've got listeners here at Gen Con who are inspired to write for science fiction, especially tie-in writing, which is your specialty. And we've got the BattleTech fans at home who are all watching, who we enjoy right there for our BattleTech fiction channel. What message do you want to send to them today on your? Well, you've got a couple.
We're here at arguably the biggest gaming convention in North America. And every time I interact with fans, and that's a big reason why I come here. It's not only to show books, because fans like to buy them. It's not only to interact with great people like this. I come to interact with our fans. I come to meet them and hear what they like, what they don't like, everything about that. And every time I end our conversation with, thank you for playing this game. Thank you for reading since high school. Thank you for continuing to read these stories, because without them, we can't do this. We don't have jobs. You guys would be writing some other IP somewhere else. So we're very fortunate, I think all of us are very fortunate to continue writing for this IP, this intellectual property that has captured fans' imaginations, tens of thousands of them. And not only them, but their children. I see so many people like, I'm bringing my children and they're playing the game. And I'm like, yeah, you got to hook them young. And that's terrific. It means it's going to keep going. And that's awesome. Yeah. So thanks for playing. Thanks for reading. Thanks for supporting.
Phil, same question. What do you want to let the people know here about tie-in fiction and the joy of writing science fiction writing, and our BattleTech fans at all who have been watching all the great things that you've done with such inspiration there, especially with Shrapnel, which has been a game changer for both the universe and for what we're doing?
Well, I have to say it's honestly humbling how often people come up to me at conventions and say, we love Shrapnel. Shrapnel's like my favorite thing. Like, thank you for doing this. And
it's often a very thankless task.
Yeah, it kind of like brings things into perspective a little bit, where it's like, this is my little magazine that could, and it's brought us new authors. We've graduated some authors from some of the early issues into like longer works, and it's just been a great vehicle to showcase new talent. And the fans love it, so I guess we're doing something right. So we're gonna keep doing it. You mentioned this earlier. We kind of got away from it. We're doing an oops all gothic version of Shrapnel.
Yes.
Drops sometime in October.
Yep.
Where it's kind of sort of be like the Twilight Zone issue, where it's like everything is normal. Oh wait, it's gothic. So that's something to look forward to. Next year we have our 25th anniversary issue, which should be a fun double size issue.
Because we love putting those together.
Yeah. Well, it helps to plan ahead.
Yes.
So
yes, it does. Yes, it does.
I just love doing it, and it's just humbling you know, what humble work we do, what it means to the fans, and you know, it's just one of the things I enjoy about conventions like this. Like John said, is just, you know, I guess seeing the fruits of the labor. You know,
the little magazine that could has become the little magazine that did. So thank you, Phil, for all your parts there. Bryan, you've written now in a couple of different universes right there. What can you do to inspire others to work in tie-in fiction and tell our BattleTech fans at home, give them their opportunity in the sun?
You know, one of the biggest things, I think, if people want to work in tie-in fiction, if people want to work in writing in general, I think one of the big things is just work on fundamentals. Learn how to tell a good story. It doesn't matter what universe you want to write in. You need to learn how to tell a good story, and part of that is just reading good stories. Take classes. Find a community around you that can help you turn in a good story, and that's really one of the things you need to do. That's where I started. And talk to other writers. Find people around with common interests. Pass around the stories among your gaming group. Do things like that. You know, get excited about the storytelling, and that's what's going to help you do those things. And Shrapnel has that open door for submitting stuff, and you know, it is rare. You know, people don't understand how rare it is that a franchise like BattleTech has a door in that's as open as Shrapnel offers, right? Can you even imagine another franchise as big as BattleTech opening that door? It is insane.
It is inconceivable.
And that opportunity exists if you want to write, and you're not submitting, it's entirely on you.
I'm always scared to give you the same question right there because you might bill me. But
Wow.
no, but this is
You couldn't afford it if I did.
I absolutely cannot. I write for him. But that same way, no, you are teaching new generations right there. You bet. I've seen you do classes, sold out classes to generations and generations of new authors right there. You've given some wonderful advice in the past. What can you give us generally? Because once again, they should take your classes. Everyone is better off for them. I'm fully supportive of that thought process. And what specifically for some of our BattleTech fans, can you tell them you've seen the changes, you've kept the faith through all these years, and I appreciate that for you. I know everyone out here appreciates that for you. What words of wisdom can you give us moving forward?
You know, writing is something that you have to do, and there are two things. One, you have to sit down and write. The other thing you have to do is, I mean, Bryan's right. You have to read good stuff, but I also think you need to read critically. You need to sit down, think about the stuff, take notes while you're reading it, break it apart, see what somebody else is doing. If they go through Shrapnel and they read 5 stories and they liked 3 and they didn't like 2, they need to go back and look at the 2 they didn't like and figure out why it is they didn't like it. And the ones that they did like, they need to figure out why they liked them and what specifically made them like those things. And we all learn as writers to write by reading other writers. So it's only by looking at it critically and figuring out, oh, I liked when he introduced this character. What he did here was X. I can do that too. You know, I can figure out how to bring this forward. So I can use that to introduce the characters that I want people to like. And if I want people to hate those characters, I got to approach it this way. So, you know, you really have to sit down and say, this is a job I want, and I'm going to break it down, and I'm going to make it work.
Sounds good. Wonderful advice there. John, do you have any final thought processes as we start to wrap up here?
I was actually going to toss it back to you and pose the same question to you, Michael. So what do you have for the fan base that you've interacted with and been a part of for decades?
Oh, yes, I am the super fan, and who got the opportunity to play in the sandbox with with wonderful fellow authors right there, and wonderful, inspiring writers that helped to put me in the right direction right there. I just go with the constant things. I don't want to seem glib, but it's, of course, if you want to write. The only way you can be a writer, Lauren Coleman has said this many times, Mike has said that the first thing you need to do is write. You need to sit down and do it. You can have the best of intentions, but if you don't sit down and write, you're not going to get anywhere. Which you don't need to glare at me while I say that. And the other fun thing right there is it's about keeping the faith. It's about loving what you do and loving the universes that you play in right there. I'm easily distracted quite a bit. I want to write a mystery today, and I want to write a romance novel tomorrow. I want to write a play. Let's do this today. It's easy to get distracted, but if you love what you do, and you are inspired by the writings of others, being able to read them critically, enjoy them, you should love them. You don't need to love everything, but you should want to be excited for good writing and want to enjoy and play in that sandbox, and for a moment, be in that sandbox.
Yes.
That helps you to keep focused and to keep everyone inspired at that point, because it's that love of things that makes things so powerful.
Agreed. And that's one final note. That's one of the things that every writer here at this table has managed to surprise me at least one time with their stories. And after 40 years, one would think, well, how many stories about big stompy robots and the characters who either pilot them or send them into battle can you tell? And you all are constantly impressing me with the different takes you bring to them, and that's always been a lot of fun. I still, every issue of Shrapnel, at least one author surprised me, like that's a different take, whether it's a group of engineers on a starship at war, a jump ship at war, to any, again, the Bixby's, the other stories with the series characters, that always surprises me. And I think BattleTech is a very wide IP that can there's hundreds, thousands of more stories to be told.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Sounds good. All right, everyone, that's us wrapping up the BattleTech Fiction Panel from Gen Con 2025. Once again, I would like to thank all of the wonderful authors and editors here with me, Bryan Young, Phil Lee, John Helfers, and the inimitable Michael Stackpole. I'm once again Michael Ciaravella. You will see me a little bit more through the weekend. I hope you'll stick around for another fantastic broadcast in just a couple of minutes. Thank you so much, and enjoy. Welcome to Gen Con.